This evening we're here to talk about the Water Quality Monitoring Network, which is all about trying to understand the state of our rivers and waterways. So hopefully I'm singing to the converted here, in that hopefully everybody recognises that our rivers and waterways are in crisis. The government's own assessment against the Water Framework Directive found that only 14% of our rivers reach good ecological status and none reach good chemical status. And unfortunately, despite a lot of good words and also some effort on the ground, things are becoming worse, not better. Now, obviously, there are lots of different causes of poor water quality, but the primary cause is agriculture. Of all of the failing water bodies, 2/3 were found to be being impacted by agricultural pollution, and whether that's diffuse pollution or point source pollution, agriculture is the main issue, contributing to issues around eutrophication, the enrichment of water bodies, which contributes to algal blooms, loss of biodiversity, and with the huge amount of soil going into our rivers as sediments, clogging up of redds, killing off invertebrates, fish eggs, and affecting the spawning of migratory and non-migratory species. Sometimes it's surprising when we say that agricultural is the primary source. I think we can all see that in the media and within the sort of public's viewpoint, sewage pollution is what seems to be getting most of the attention in recent years, but it is secondary to agriculture, with over half of the failing water bodies being impacted by sewage pollution. Scary statistics: nearly 500,000 discharges of untreated sewage going into our rivers last year, up on 2020, accounting for nearly 3.5 million hours of discharge in total. So huge amounts of raw sewage, untreated sewage going into our rivers. And obviously all of that phosphate, nitrate, all that sediment going into our rivers has a huge impact upon the flora and fauna within our rivers. People familiar with the Wye catchment will have seen Waters crowfoot, the ranunculus, virtually disappearing in the last few years because of the pollution on the Wye. It's having a huge impact upon freshwater species, which are declining faster than any other species, with 13% of our freshwater species are currently threatened with extinction. But the problem we have is that often it's very difficult to know what the problem is. We know there's a problem. We all know that the problem exists, but pinning down what the problem actually is often a big issue. The statistics here are from the Wye Salmon Association, and when they first started to look at the problem on the Wye 2-3 years ago, and working with Cardiff University, the first problem they identified was that there's a huge data gap. Water companies currently report on their own performance, and unfortunately the EA, for many reasons, are now monitoring fewer sites less frequently, which means that the data we do have is spatially and temporally flawed. It doesn't really tell us anything. So what the Wye Salmon Association and Cardiff University realised was that the first challenge is to actually gather information about actual water quality, because unless we know what the problem is and we know where the problem is, it's very difficult to identify meaningful solutions which will actually have a long-term impact and hopefully return our rivers to the state that they should be in. And that recognition of what had been successful on the Wye is really what's contributed to the Angling Trust's decision to launch the Water Quality Monitoring Network. The Water Quality Monitoring Network is an alliance of angling clubs and anglers who on a regular basis go down to our rivers,
take samples and assess it for various criteria to understand how good or bad the quality of the water is. So this is a real opportunity to identify what the problems are in order that we can do something about it, but also so that we can hold government to their responsibilities. If people want to get involved in the Water Quality Monitoring Network, basically go to the Angling Trust website, register your interest in becoming a volunteer. We'll then contact you to look at where you can sample. We'll talk to you about how we can provide you with the necessary kit and get you recruited into the programme.
We, as anglers, recognise that we're passionate about the places that we fish. And anglers, really, since the advent of angling clubs, have been involved in trying to improve those freshwater environments and to address the problems that anglers see all around them. Whether that's practical work parties, whether that's people signing up for the Army riverfly monitoring initiatives, whether it's going out and pulling balsam, or going out and collecting litter. All these things are making a difference on the ground, but what we're not helping to address is that issue of water quality, and particularly understanding what those drivers are. So that's what really led to the formation of the Water Quality Network. And hopefully not only will it help to understand what the water quality issues are, what it will also help to do is to demonstrate to people that anglers care about those freshwater environments and are looking to do something about it. So I think it's important that not only do we go out there and work to improve our freshwater environments, but we also demonstrate to the wider world and our wider communities that we're working hard to do that.